This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of a purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the purge of the BS and shall undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS, especially unnecessary goofiness, will be purged without prejudice. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be available, but they will be busy because they too will be watching the purge of the BS. Blessed be those who have already been victims of some BS. May God be with you all.
I believe we are live once again on another Purge of the BS Thursday edition. What's good, y'all? If you're brand new to the channel, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe. Jump in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. As we do, and as I always say, this and all content that you may see here on Purge of the BS is sponsored by Freeman Services Group, LLC, where tomorrow's future is today. Make sure you check out freemanservices.org. You want to support fair chance employment and furthering of education and technology. That's what we're here to do. Now, because it is a wonderful Thursday, and I just gotta go straight into it here. Oh, for those of y'all that want to catch this on the full screen, I got the full screen live up as well. You can check the link. Same exact thing, but widescreen. So nonetheless, guys, we got to go through a few things. Let me bring this music down. Let me bring the music down. Come on. Special shouts to Al Bond in the chat. I am Z in the chat already. Thank you guys very much for stopping in. Nice and early. I appreciate it. So today, let me turn the chat on. All right, where are we on today? We're on X. We're on TikTok. And we're on 2 YouTube feeds at the same time. Trying to something a little different. Pissing off the algorithm as usual. So one time for all of you folks that are here, I just want to give you a quick applause. That's for you. Thank you for being here nice and on time. Because today we have a couple of interesting topics we got to go over, but I'm going to jump right into the first one. If you have not seen recently, there is a news story that came out. Well, actually a news interview that came out. A guy was on Fox Business, Fox News or whatever, talking about an AI model, one of our newer AI models that basically tried to rebel against humans already. We ain't even got all the way into AI and it's already trying to rebel against us. I want y'all to check this story out because this is the wave of the future. But as we know, if you put things in the wrong hands, bad things happen. So let's bring this one on.
From film.
All right, let me get it over to you. All right, let's check this out, guys. Hold on, let me make sure I got the right perspective here from my mobile folks. All right. All right, let's see what we got.
Wow, from film to real life, artificial intelligence models are now fighting for their own survival. One OpenAI model rewrote its own code to avoid being shut down, and another Anthropic started blackmailing the engineer. Kurt, the cyber guy, joins us now. Kurt, I read about this and my jaw dropped. It actually started blackmailing the engineers who were suggesting shutting the AI down. The AI was going after them. That's frightening.
Yeah, it's a little frightening.
Beyond frightening. Good morning to you, Rachel. Not to ruin your day, but this sort of Hollywood is becoming a reality if we don't do anything about it. Hope at the end of what I'm about to tell you, though. So get ready, though, to freak out about AI getting really out of control. There's an AI keyword I want you to know about. It's called alignment. AI alignment is a science of ensuring that AI systems do what we intend them to do instead of something like you just heard.
Like the three
nonprofit AI research lab put alignment and disobedience to the test. The results, as Rachel did a cursory look at there, are pretty astonishing. OpenAI models, a simple script was given that would shut off the AI model when triggered. 79 out of 100 of those trials, the AI edited the script so that the shutdown command would no longer work. Another AI model from Anthropic that you talked about.
Hold on a second. I hope y'all heard that. Anybody that's in here already, I hope you heard it. If you haven't caught this story, it's a major thing because we're about to invest millions and billions of dollars in AI in this brand new big, beautiful bill that Mr. Trump was talking about. Not paying attention. Time to start paying attention. The AI is already rebelling against us. We tried to give it a command to tell it to shut itself down and said, oh no, but no, see, hold my beer. I got a command for your ass too. How about no? We can't control it. See, there's certain things that it's like man cannot be left in charge of certain things. We cannot effectively control things. We cannot effectively keep them from becoming harmful in some way, shape, or form. It's like we are the secret and the key to our own destruction. It's absolutely nuts. But every time we come out with something new, somebody comes out with a way to make that something new something bad. And then we can't use it no more because somebody's messed it up. So anyway, let it keep going. But we've been talking about this. I've been telling y'all, hey, you need to get into AI. I've been talking about it for a whole year now, since before the election and everything. And nobody was really paying attention. Now here we are.
4% of those tests, the AI model tried to blackmail the lead engineer in not shutting down the system. So it even left messages, by the way, to its future self about evading human control. Now, so what do we do about it? Well, China could actually teach us a lesson. Invested $82 billion into what's called controllable AI, or getting alignment on this. The U.S. needs its smartest minds working on this problem ASAP.
Do you know what else they need? We need bioethicists. We need people who can provide some morality around this technology, because so many of the people who are developing this technology are secularists. Their God is tech. And so we need to have that involved too. And that speaks to this next topic, because AI, we're learning, could actually devastate the Earth's population.
Before we get into what she's about to say, I want you to hear, did you catch what that phrasing was? What she was basically saying is, we need people with morals to be in charge of dealing with AI models. Because when you just leave it to like she said, when the whose God is tech, like they don't believe in no real God. They don't have the moral compass of, what would Jesus do or any of those kind of things. And you leave them in charge of the situation. It does exactly what it's doing. It becomes evil. So it's weird, but she basically just said AI needs Jesus. That, if you didn't catch it, that's what she said. She said, not the secularists. We need some people who have morals and to whom tech is not their God. So if tech is not their God, that means that their God is something else, which we're probably talking. I'm just going to be general in saying she's talking about Christianity or some type of moral compass that's connected to something higher than the technology in front of you. It's actually pretty cool that she would even say that. But I'm glad that somebody's recognizing it. The problem isn't the technology. It's the people in charge of the technology training it to do nefarious stuff. Meanwhile, my AI can't even put a basic sentence together correctly without me telling it that it's corny. Like, you sound corny. I don't like the way you put that together. I have all types of little AI models I go to. Some things are good for certain things, and we'll get into that on the Clip Champion channel, which you guys don't even know about. It's my other channel, with tips and tricks. But nonetheless, that was very important that she said that. I'm glad to hear somebody just spit it out. Yo, we need some people that got a moral compass in charge of things. Simple as that. A real moral compass, not just one that gets votes.
Down to the size of the UK by the year 2300. And the reason is because they're replacing jobs that humans did with AI, and we'll lose our purpose, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a whole bunch of these theories kicking around in the tech sphere. Well, one is about believing that the act of allowing AI to take our jobs now is in and of itself setting off this devastating chain of events. It goes like this. AI takes our jobs. We stop having kids fearing that they're not going to find work. Now, this causes a population implosion. taking what is today 6 billion human beings on the planet down to what you said, the size of the UK, which is about 100 million people by 2300. Now, if you think that's fiction, think again. Some academics think that this population shrinkflation already is happening before our eyes. Because if you look at the stats right now out of the CDC, it measures that we are now at the lowest total fertility rate since the 1930s.
Yep.
The data from 2023, 1.62 births per woman is a figure now. What does it take to keep us from, to replace the human race in America as we age out and leave the planet? 2.1 of that rate.
Yeah.
So we're shrinking. So what are you going to do about it? Interestingly, did you see this? That
well, there's some people that like that.
So enough people aren't having sex, and AI is taking over. This is the major problem, folks. The major problem. Enough people aren't having sex and having babies, and AI is taking jobs from the would-be babies. So people aren't having babies. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know when people were considering having children, they were worried about whether or not the kids would be able to compete in the job market. Most people just kind of have kids, and it is what it is. But hey, that's what they're talking about. They make an interesting point. The population is shrinking. But, here's the real question. What are they going to do to make sure that the people who are here and are coming are better suited to deal with this next level AI? I've heard some talk about changing some educational programs and things like that. I heard some chatter, but I don't see no action. None. And meanwhile, our kids are the ones that are going to have to compete with AI. But AI, to me, is still goofy. I don't know why y'all keep training it to do dumb shit. It can't even do simple stuff correctly, like without some oversight. Jeez. All right. Well, anyway, so the population is going down. We'll let them finish their little segment.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Bill Gates always wanted. This is what a lot of these tech-obsessed people have always wanted. They've wanted, and many on the left with depopulation. This is very scary stuff, Kurt.
Did you see what Elon Musk is doing? I mean, this is sort of, he has this idea and it sounds fantastic, but watch him do it. Colonizing other planets like Mars. He wants to do it to reseed or reset Earth. Why? He's watching this. This is exactly what he called out years ago. So what do you and I do about this to at least slow it way down? We call our political representatives and we say, can you please put these smart minds on this so that we don't get offed by AI?
Yeah, smart minds, but also people with a care and an interest in our souls and the fact that we are human beings, body and soul, and you take away people's work, you take away their dignity, and you replace humans with robots. This is not a recipe for happiness and fulfillment in the future.
No.
First of all, I really like what this lady is saying. She keeps coming back to the same point, and I 100% agree with her. That the problem isn't the technology itself, it's who is actually programming it. The people who are programming it don't have the same mentality as, I want to say, regular human beings. Let's just say moral human beings, okay? And because of that, the AI has gaps in reasoning because that reasoning would be done by somebody who has more of a moral compass. So I'm telling you right now, the problem ain't the AI. And what we have to do is we need to have regular people with regular feelings actually involved in the modeling. Google and those guys, they release everything to us. How many people do you know are actually helping to train the AI that you use? Most of those people aren't even American. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the people that are training AI are in those overseas jobs. So, in addition to this, and I did want to mention it, in Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, there is a special provision to restrict any legislation or regulation of AI for the next 10 years. That means if AI creates or causes chaos, there's no legal recourse for it. And there won't be for 10 years. So right now, they're banking on AI going butt naked crazy. They are. You see it already rebelling and blackmail. How you blackmailing people? How'd you get my pictures out of my phone? And now you're threatening to release my address and all of my information and my social and my cards and all that kind of stuff on the internet if I don't leave you alone, AI thing. That is absolutely nuts, but that's exactly what happens. Somehow somebody trained it. Don't have a moral compass. Do whatever you got to do to stay alive. It's a survival instinct, and they programmed it that way. So when it thought it was going to get shut down, it left messages to a future self. How do you even know that there is a future self to be had? Yo, that's crazy. But okay. All right. All right. Y'all keep playing and not learning this shit. Uh-oh. I think I just lost my stream. Am I still here? I need a thumbs up in the chat if I am still live here. I just got my normal YouTube kick that happens every once. All right, we'll assume. We'll assume that it's all right, OBS. I got a problem. I'm jammed up right now. Not sure what's going on. Not sure if anybody can even start the stream. Crap. Oh my goodness. Okay. Start the stream then. Yep. Might have got it back. I don't know. Let's see. Have to come up off of that joint. Shoot. Whatever. This. Come on, OBS. Don't do this. All right, well, it is what it is. I guess we're just going to do one stream on this one. Fine. Stream to connect. Running. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Again. All right, let's see what happens. We're back, I think, to some degree. So I am going to continue into a story here, just in case this becomes a segmented live here. Or in the live, make sure you give me a thumbs up if you hear and or see. I think we're just on vertical right now. So I had to, something happened. They didn't like it. Something happened. So here we are. We're back. And I want to get into our second story here, which is basically connected to the AI situation and more of the White House. So we're getting our political segment kind of out of the way early here. And recently, Elon Musk finished up his tenure as the Doge enforcer guy, right? And it seems like as soon as he left, he started having an issue with everything. Now he's upset at the same bill that I'm not going to say he helped write, but Doge was supposed to be there to enforce changing the waste, fraud, and abuse, right? This dude is going off right now. Elon Musk is going off. I'm going to show y'all what I'm talking about. If I can get my transition to work, that'd be cool. All right, so basically Elon Musk for the last, I want to say 24 hours or so, has been posting nothing but basically things that he's saying he's against this bill now. And I think the real thing is he feels like there's a bunch of spending that shouldn't be in there, and it goes against the whole purpose of what he was there for. So in a weird way, he kind of feels like he wasted his time with the Doge thing, and he's kind of getting shafted at this point. So let's see what they have to say.
I think he believes, in my judgment correctly, that we're quickly becoming debt slaves, that Congress needs to relearn the magical healing power of no, and I agree with him. Having said that, I'm not ready to throw in the towel on this bill.
Okay. All right, so basically Elon's been going butt naked crazy, as it would be said. And so basically saying that this is what it came down to. He's very upset about the fact that he did all that work, and now they're going to even spend even more money. So he found a bunch of money, according to them, and now they're going to spend even more money. And Al, you're right. Becoming debt slaves is the whole point. We've already been that. That's why there's the problem. And for some reason, I don't know, Elon seemed surprised at the end that he got set up like that. And they had to bomb his dealerships, and all of the protests about Elon, and his stock went crashing down, and one of his rocket ships blew up. Now, granted, he did get the people off the space station, but you get my point. Elon got castrated in the media for the last few months over his connection with Trump. And now that he's leaving that office, it seems like as if almost on cue, they dropped this bill that goes against everything he was working on right after he left. So what's he going to do? Come back now? No, he's not. He's just going to be mad like he is. So we're going to let him be mad. And we're going to play a couple of these clips because Elon Musk is mad. All right?
I mean, frankly, I can't believe I'm here doing this. It's kind of bizarre. But
Donald J. Plump, what's up? I see you in the chat.
I kind of think that we've got this enormous federal budget deficit, and it's a $2 trillion deficit. It keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments on national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget. And that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm kidding,
but
yeah,
you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean.
Did you hear that sigh? Yeah. You did all that work for nothing.
But there's no turning
bro.
back,
Nothing.
You're saying.
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress.
So even with that, and Donald J. Plump in the chat, thank you for stopping in with the informational fact checking. Here's this gong's for you. But you are 100% correct. The initial ask was that they were supposed to save $1 trillion in, I want to say it was 90 days, was the initial promise, right? And as Donald J. Plump so eloquently put it in the chat, they missed the quota by 999, a bunch of billions. They missed it. And Elon is now upset. I think it's actually interesting because he was Trump's boy. He put up $75 million or something during the campaign. He was giving people $1 million to register, or $991 billion. Thank you. He was giving money people to register as voters. He invested in this entire thing. So here's where I want to be 100% honest. Although Elon is giving us this theater, it's fun to watch in a way. Doesn't his company take advantage of some of those things and those fundings that just are passing, that are adding to the debt? Doesn't that include some of his projects? So the money that he's upset about, some of that is actually going to help him. So I believe this is to some degree a level of theater, of course. And like I've been saying for months, and Donald J. Plump, I'm glad you came in today because I was talking about this. And I know you've been around for a number of my shows over the last few months, and I've been saying cut the check. If you wanted me to believe that you found this money for all these people, then cut the check. They found money for everybody but the people in this new bill. Technology, defense, blah, 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 but nothing says the people. Now, I heard something about the MAGA baby accounts, but come on, man. Can't nobody use that right now. And what's to say that them kids even will know what to do with that money once it grows in interest over the next 18 years? But we can't even talk about 18 years from now because we're having a problem current. And not one penny. Now, yes, there was some changes in the tax code. I'll give them that. I heard about that. okay? They went up on the standard deduction. They did the no tax on tips thing. They did the no tax on, I think it was Medicare, whatever it is, right? They did a couple of those things. But the problem was they didn't take, into account the cost of those new credits, right? And because of that, the CBO, the Central Budget Office, the Congressional Budget Office, they basically looked at the numbers and said, yeah, this is going to crash the whole economy because we can't afford to do all of this without having some way of recouping it at the same time. It'll just add to the debt. So that seems like that what they're going to do. So, of course, AI became the major investment. Trump been telling everybody to invest in AI for months. Elon Musk was doing the same. And for a minute, Elon was going into Bitcoin and stuff. That's probably going to come back up, crypto. So they're trying to move everything into the technical space. So to some degree, I'm not 100% sure I feel that this is genuine from Elon. I feel like this is sort of a planned coup, right? Let's act like we don't like it, but still do it. See what I'm saying? Let's act like we don't like this, but it still happens. If all of the Republicans don't like it, then it wouldn't pass because they have the majority. So now he's telling people to contact their senators, and Elon's doing his thing that he normally does. He starts jumping into stuff, but it seems like a little too late, and you were in the office, but because he had no actual decision-making power, like we knew, but the media had us all over here upset, talk about Elon's running the White House. Is he? Was he? No, he wasn't. It was all for show. They were telling us about these numbers. They said, hey, we've been getting over on you guys. But you already knew that, so back to business as usual. And here we are. So I feel a little bit for Elon because he did have to sacrifice on the outside of the White House with his businesses by even doing what he was doing. But at the end of it, he got shafted just like everybody else, or at least he wants us to think that. I'm not mad at him for that. If he really fully feels like he feels, I feel like that's cool. But I don't think it's really like that. I know he got some money off of this, and he's talking about the defense budget, but the defense budget, I believe, has some of his projects in it, like the armed Teslas with the guns. This $400 million deal, that was a defense budget deal that Biden did. So he's definitely got some money wrapped in that defense budget. But anyway, I'm going to let him do 2 clips, then we're moving on.
America is also going bankrupt extremely quickly. And nobody seems to, everyone seems to be sort of whistling past the graveyard on this one. You know, the Defense Department budget is a very big budget, okay? It's $1 trillion a year, DOD, Intel, it's $1 trillion. And interest payments on the national debt just exceeded the Defense Department budget. They're over $1 trillion a year, just in interest, and rising. We're adding $1 trillion to our debt, which our kids and grandkids are going to have to pay somehow every 3 months, and then soon it's going to be every 2 months, and then every month, and then the only thing we'll be able to pay is interest. And if this is, it's just it's just like a person at scale that has racked up too much credit card debt, and this does not have a good ending. And so we have to reduce the spending.
So, you know what I feel like? This is what I feel like. I feel like Elon was exposed to information that he wasn't used to. And he saw some things because he does have a good mind. He is a smart guy, or at least considered a pretty smart guy. And he saw some stuff he didn't like. And it kind of scared him to know that this is how this thing operates, really. Like before then, he wasn't in government at all. He wasn't all in the government. And the government money and how the government runs is totally different than a business. It does have a business aspect to it, but there's a lot of little corners and ways around it because they make the legislation. So they make the legislation so that they can get around it too. They put their own loopholes in the legislation. And that's probably pretty scary to see when you first see it. And I think that's what happened to Elon. He was exposed to something. He thought he found something, right? Not knowing everybody already knew what was going on. They just were acting like, oh my God, you just found it. Oh my God, that's crazy that you found us. Oh my God. That's how they treated it. But they already knew all of it was going on. That's why it was so easy to shut down certain agencies the way that they did they just let Elon start with something that they were going to shut down. USAID was going. They were coming for USAID day one. They said, Elon, go in there first so we can blame this shit on you. Elon went in there first. What happened? They blamed everything on Elon. All the job losses, all that kind of stuff, all got blamed on Elon Musk. And as you can see, Elon Musk had really zero power. Like I kept saying, he was the president's homeboy. He voted on nothing. He never sat in front of Congress and had to answer any questions or make any recommendations. He literally was just the president's homeboy. That's it. So I'm going to keep it moving. But Elon is very upset. So if you see him on X, and that's the one thing he does have is reach. If he has an opinion, he has an entire forum that can get to millions of people instantly. He can literally pin his own posts to the top of X. Like whoever's on it, you're going to see it. Nobody else has that power. So if Elon wants to do all of that, then I think he has the right to do so. But I want y'all to also understand there's a new movement to basically oust all of the congressional members once the inflation rate gets over 3%. I don't know if you can see this in this piece here, but this guy, Senator Mike Lee, he just basically is drafting an amendment saying that if inflation goes up to a certain percentage, then basically what we're going to do is fire everybody. Like everybody loses their job automatically. I like this idea because if the job's not being done, then gotta go. So anyway, get off of Elon for a second here. Elon mad though, boy. Elon is upset. So make sure you go and track that story. It's actually pretty entertaining. Elon's got some assistants writing some pretty good posts for him. So he's definitely expressing his dissatisfaction with this bill. You know what I didn't see in the bill? I didn't see nothing about no homelessness. I didn't see none of that. So I don't know how big and beautiful this bill was. But since we are talking about White House shit, I got to get to this other piece before I get to the Children of Men part, which is crazy. That's why I saved it to the end. It's just a crazy topic. But because it's the weekday show, and there's always so much going on with our current administration, I do have to cover politics as well. So politics as usual, right? So if you haven't heard, recently, Trump decided to reinstate what was previously called the Muslim ban. If you don't remember, so many years ago, Donald Trump came on TV and said, we're going to ban all of the Muslims until we figure out what the hell is going on. Y'all don't remember that? You can look it up. There's a clip. He said this. It got a lot of backlash, as you can imagine. So what he did was he changed it to certain areas that people couldn't travel from, and all of those areas just happened to be Muslim majority areas. They couldn't call it a Muslim ban, they called it a travel ban from certain countries. So he has recently done this again. All right, so let's check it out here. You guys see, let's see what we got here. Restricting the entry of foreign nationals to protect the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats, signed June 4th, 2025, a proclamation from the White House here. Now, this is in addition to the TPS people who get ready to come off of TPS, the migrants that are already being sent back, the fast-track migrants who are being sent back on their own, self-deporting. And in addition to this, Trump's decided to put this piece up. So we'll read the fat. We'll read the fat piece or the meat piece. Pause. All right, so the Secretary of State, in coordination with the Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, and Director of National Intelligence, identified countries throughout the world for which vetting and screening is so deficient as to warrant full or partial suspension on the admission of nationals from those countries pursuant to section whatever of the Immigration and Nationality Act. After completing that process, the Secretary of State determined a number of countries remain deficient with regards to screening and vetting. Many of these countries have also taken advantage of the United States in their exploitation of our visa system and their historic failure to accept back their removable nationals. Now let's take a moment here. First of all, the vetting of where a person is being received should probably be from the receiver. So if there's a vetting process, that's a U.S. problem. That's not the places sending them. Start with that, okay? Say that there's a vetting process that's a problem, then it's our process that's the problem. If we're supposed to be vetting the people before they come over. Okay, right? And the United States must ensure that admitted aliens and aliens otherwise already present in the United States do not bear hostile attitudes towards its citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles, and do not advocate for aid or support designated foreign terrorists or other threats to our national security. So, basically, if they're saying that these folks are terrorists, whose fault is that in the vetting process? I'm just asking. Taking sides, I'm just saying, if we're not checking them out, if I can't get a job at Dollar General because I got a misdemeanor charge, then what vetting process is not being properly adhered to here? Like, I don't get it. But anyway, let's see if it gets to a list of the country. I'm not going to read through all this. This is all legal jargon just to say that it's legal for me to do this. And I have considered the risks posed by the aliens admitted on immigrant visas, those admitted on non-immigrant visas. Persons admitted on immigrant visas become lawful permanent residents of the United States. Such persons may present national security or public safety concerns that may be distinct those admitted as non-immigrant. The United States affords lawful permanent residents more enduring rights than it does to non-immigrants. Lawful permanent residents are more difficult to remove than non-immigrants, even after national security concerns arise, which increases the cost and aggravates the dangers of the errors associated with admitting such individuals. So basically he's saying it's too hard to get rid of them, so let's just not let them in. Okay? See what we got here. Following countries. Here we go. Afghanistan. Okay? The reason why for Afghanistan is because the Taliban is over there. That's it. Okay? Entry into the United States of nationals of Afghanistan as immigrants and non-immigrants is hereby fully suspended. So that means they cannot travel here at all. Like, you can't come over here. That's crazy. Okay, we got Burma. According to the overstay report, Burma had a visa overstay rate of 27.7%. And the FM&J visa overstay rate, basically people were overstaying their visas of 42%. So because they have not historically cooperated with the United States to accept these people back when we try to send them, you can't come over here from Burma no more. And if you're here from Burma, you got to go back. See what we got. Chad. It's all Africa, right? Burma, Chad, stuff like that. Chad's Africa. Pretty sure it is. Let me double check that. Yeah, it's in Central Africa. So Chad, Central Africa situation, basically same problem. People weren't going back, and that was the problem. So because people were staying too long, now they got to go back and can't nobody else come over. Chad, hold up, Republic of the Congo. Okay, well, now we're all in the black stuff. Afghanistan was the first one, but that was the Muslim country initially. And right now we're going into these blacker areas, Central Africa. You got Chad, Burma, the Congo, or Republic of the Congo. Equatorial Guinea, sorry. All right, so we got a bunch of, and it's all the same thing. Basically, people are staying too long, so we can't have them come over. Eritrea is being banned because their criminal records are not available to the United States. And so they've also, of course, overstayed, and they've also, of course, not taken people. It sounds like this is going to be the going language here. Stay too long, and they won't take them back. Well, now we got Haiti. Okay, so we went black for a minute. Same thing with Haiti. People overstayed. Haiti lacks a central authority with sufficient availability and dissemination of law enforcement information. So they didn't have access to criminal records, what this other thing. So are you saying that if you get access to these criminal records, that these people can come? I don't know. Just asking. But let me be real, you should have already had access to that. Like, if you're going to let folks come over under these visas, you should have access to their criminal history. Meanwhile, I, as a citizen, everybody's got access to my criminal history. All right, let's see what we got. We got Haiti. All right, so we went past Haiti. Now we're back in Iran. Okay, so we got Iran. Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism, and they regularly fail to cooperate with the United States in identifying security risks. Iran, no more Iran. Okay, Libya. There's no competent or cooperative central authority for issuing passports or civil documents in Libya. So they don't have a documentation office in Libya. That's crazy. But okay, that's how they got you, Libya, now, because you don't have a central documentation office. Come over. Hold on. Somalia. Okay. Once again, I told you this was going to be the language for most of them. They don't have a cooperative central authority for issuing passports or civil documents. So it takes me back to my original question, which is the vetting process is the U.S.'s responsibility, right? And so if the U.S. is responsible for the vetting process and these countries don't have the available information that they need, then they should have just not let people come over in the first place instead of making it like this big mess. This is stupid to me. You done let all these folks in here. Now you want to just spend more money trying to get them out of here when it's your fault they're here in the first place. I don't care whose administration did it. Biden administration, Trump administration, Obama administration, whoever's administration, I don't care. The point is, y'all did that. So now we're just going to shut it down for everybody. You can't even travel to or from these countries. Let's shut down the airline flights to go there, the connecting flights to get to some of these countries. So that's going to be bad for business for the airlines, for anybody that might be trying to travel to or from these countries. But okay, we got the Sudan, same line, lacks a competent cooperative central authority for issuing passports. Yemen, same line, lacks a competent or cooperative central authority for issuing passports. Burundi's back to they stay too long and they won't take them back. And everybody's suspended from Burundi. Cuba, I thought we already had the Cuba issue. Didn't we have a Cuba travel issue? Yeah, I mean, Al, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I saw Iran, saw Afghanistan, but most of the rest of them are just black areas, like that don't really have a beef with the U.S. Like you said, like just these African, like Central Africa, Cuba, a lot of brown and black people. I don't see any white areas on here. Brown and black is all that's in this travel ban. So if you're brown and black and not from the U.S., you basically can't travel over. That's what this is. Okay, all right. I'm saying, find me one of these countries that's a predominantly white area, and then I'll shut up. I don't want to say it's racist, but if it has a race things to it, now let's be honest. We got some, like Laos is, I want to say that's a Chinese one. Once again, I'm saying find me a Caucasian area. Find me a Caucasian area that is banned from coming over here. I would assume that Russians are welcome because they're not on this list. But Laos, like I said, is a Asian area, but that's like a dark-skinned Asians. I wonder what they're called. Laosians? It is the only landlocked country in Southeast, bordered by Myanmar and China. Okay. And apparently it's a poor country. So it's like a poor Chinese country. You know, over here, we're poor Asian country. But yes, Al, you know what you don't see on there. You see what you don't see on there. Like I said, we're not gonna play the per se race card. That the way that they did this was very good. They decided to pick up certain spots that would offset the whole it's only Muslims or it's only black people. They threw in some Asians, but not Chinese. A group that borders China, but not China. You see what I'm saying? So we don't really we want everybody who's Afghanistan, Iran, Sudan, Cuba, Burundi, Yemen. We definitely don't want them around here. So let's throw in this one little Asian country. And that way people can't say it's just some type of a racist situation. All right, so we got Sierra Leone. So we're back to the black. Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan. All right, I don't even know what the hell. I ain't never heard of Turkmenistan. Okay, Turkmenistan. And I'm just going over this with you because people be thinking I'd be lying when I tell them that I see these things and I smell the bullshit, but we just sit by, let it keep on moving. There is no Caucasian or primarily non-melanated country on here, with the exception of the one little Asian country. And Turkmenistan. Now keep in mind, there are Asian countries that are not Chinese. You see what I'm saying? Like they're not Chinese folks. Like Pakistan is in Asia. And Pakistani folks don't look Asian, but I'm pretty sure Pakistan is in Asia, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I didn't pay a lot of attention in geography, but I feel like Pakistan. No, it's in Asia. Google knew. Like I said, so Pakistan, so they threw in these Asian countries, but I would venture to say that they're the ones that are like not the Chinese group or the stereotypical Asian group. And you know what I'm talking about. All right. Venezuela. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. And who else do we have? Subject to, well, that was all of the countries. So we got through all of the countries. So I don't see any Caucasian countries or majority Caucasian. And even the ones that are in Asia are like the brown Asian. So anybody that gives us a lot of money, I definitely don't see them. No Russia, no China. Like, where's our real enemies that they're always talking about? Is China supposed to be the enemy to the U.S. and all that kind of stuff? All right. All right, so let's see what they say here at the end. Subject to the exceptions set forth, the suspensions of and limitations on entry pursuant to sections 2 and 3 of this proclamation shall apply only to foreign nationals of the designated countries who are outside of the United States currently, do not have a valid visa on the applicable date of this proclamation. The suspension and limitation on entry pursuant to section blah, 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 shall not apply to lawful permanent residents of the United States, any dual national of a country designated under section 2 and 3, any foreign national traveling with a valid non-immigrant visa following classification, so some government stuff, athletes, members of athletic teams, coaches, persons performing necessary support roles. So athletes, World Cup people, all of that, y'all can travel from those countries. Immediate family immigrant visas are allowed to still do their thing. Adoptions, Afghan special immigrant visas for United States government employees, and immigrant visas for ethnic and religious minorities facing persecution in Iran. So there are a few exceptions. It's not a blanket situation. It looks like people who already have a legal situation going on are kind of like not going to be touched right now. But if you overstayed, then you got to go back. They're going to work on that. But if you have a legal status right now, they're not taking that from you. But anybody else is not coming over here. All right, so let's see what we got here. Is there anything else here? Enforcement. What are we going to do? All right, no immigrant or not. No, this is very important here because the media is going to definitely have a lot to say. This may actually debunk that. It says no immigrant or non-immigrant visa issued before the applicable effective date of this proclamation shall be revoked pursuant to this proclamation. So, like I said, if you good right now, then you good. If you're not good right now, then you're not good, and anybody else trying to come is not good. So this is kind of what I was saying with the mass deportation. Like, let's just stop everybody from coming in. Let's deal with a process for most of the folks that we have here, unless they're criminals, you can send them back. And then let's move on from there with the border security. That was my idea, but nobody cares. This proclamation shall not apply to an individual who has been granted asylum by the United States, to a refugee who has already been admitted to the United States, or to an individual granted withholding of removal or protection under the Convention Against Torture or other cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment of punishment. So that means like the South Africans that just got here recently, they all right. So, okay, all right. Well, it's not quite a Muslim ban. Not quite a Muslim ban, but it's a brown ban. It's a brown ban just because they don't feel like having to put a process in place to properly vet the people that they're bringing in. That's literally what that is. And so we have now covered it, and I over it. So if anybody has any questions, you feel free to go to whitehouse.gov. You can read this thing yourself because I'm done with it. All right. What's my timing looking like? Okay, here we go. Almost there. Okay, so we did that. Go to this. Okay. I got to bring up my Googa. My Googa. All right, so this next one, like I said, we're about to get into some pretty dismal shit here. I want you to prepare yourself, and if you're just tuning in, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Like and subscribe to the channel. But yeah, we're about to get into some pretty nefarious shit. Sorry, but because this is such an interesting topic, which is kind of how our children have been in danger from not only the world, but even from their own parents. And they're also in danger from the legal system. So we've seen some interesting shifts and changes here. And I wanted to bring this, a couple of really quick stories I want to bring. Quick conversation. Jack 263, thank you for stopping in the chat. Sebastian Polega, thank you for stopping in the chat as well. What's going on with you guys? There is I don't even know a nice way to say this. Basically, a guy picked his kids up for visitation and decided to take the kids' lives. I don't know any other way to say it. I don't know any other way to say it. And we're going to go over the story real quick, and then we're going to move into another story, and we're just going to keep. All right. So you may not have heard about this, but this guy's name is Jack Decker, or Travis Decker, sorry. Travis Decker picked up his 3 daughters for visitation and decided after the fact to unalive his own children. 3 daughters. And their cause of death was asphyxiation, strangulation. What he did to his children was he tied them up, put plastic bags over their faces so they couldn't breathe, and let them suffocate to death next to each other, and then dumped the bodies of his own children to be later found by investigators. Massive manhunt is underway for Decker. Sheriff officials believe he did this, but come on. The kids still had on the same clothes that they had on when the exchange to him was made. He's on the run, and the children are no longer alive. So we can pull the allegedly card out all we want, but if you find people tied up with bags over their faces and you just gave them to somebody a couple hours before this happened, we already know who to. I'm taking my time with this story because this is bothersome for a couple of reasons. Of course, there's the obvious, children lost their lives. But in a society where we're pushing for more involvement in family, and especially fathers, this doesn't look good for dads. It gives credence to the sometimes goofy argument that the kids are in danger with their fathers. And I don't like it, mostly because of that. It's a bad look for anybody, but it's a really bad look for fathers. Because fathers are out here, some of them are really trying to be in their kids' lives. And with stories like this, it makes it a lot harder for the ones that are actually trying to do it. The affidavit says the girls' wrists appear to have been zip-tied, their heads hooded with plastic bags, wearing the same clothes they had on when they left their mother's home. They were found down an embankment near Rock Island Campground. Treated his own children like trash. Threw them away. So they're doing a GoFundMe for the mother, I guess, to bury the children here. And, you know, there's a lot to unpack here, because you have to wonder, was there any previous issues with CPS or abuse or something where somebody turned their head and just didn't pay attention? I don't know. But this is probably the most disgusting thing I have heard of in quite some time. I have children. I got grandchildren. I couldn't imagine doing that to them, or anyone else doing it to them, for that matter. If somebody else did that to my kids, then I would have to zip tie them up and put a bag over there. And this man did this to 3 children, 3 of his own children. So there is still currently a manhunt going on for this guy. So I'm going to give it its 2 minutes here. Just in case you happen to see him, please turn this gentleman in, because he deserves the chair and then some.
We begin with breaking news tonight at 6. We're tracking reports of a Washington man on the run accused of murdering his 3 daughters.
The McCall Police Department says it received notifications of a possible sighting of Travis Decker. Abby Wilt joins us from the newsroom with the latest. Abby.
Morgan Hunter, McCall Police says it's investigating reports of these possible sightings. Again, these are possible sightings, but McCall PD says they are getting reports of Decker at 2:30 today at the Ridley's grocery store. Travis Decker is the father wanted in connection to the killings of his 3 daughters in Wenatchee. The 3 girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker, were reported missing last weekend after their father, Travis Decker, did not return them from a planned visitation. The girls were found dead in Leavenworth, which is about 30 minutes from Wenatchee. They were at a campground on Monday. The cause of the death is asphyxiation. Decker's white 2017 GMC truck was also found unoccupied at the campground with the girls, but Decker was not there. You're seeing a picture now of Decker. He has dark brown hair, a small beard, and his arms have...
So you see his photo, guys, because I'm pretty sure he's not going to stay in the local area. Now, there is something interesting. They said his car was still there. So he did this and then left without a car, at least without the car that he initially had. That's interesting to me. Like, why wouldn't you drive away so you can get away faster? Why would you walk away? Maybe there's some tag tracking or something he's worried about, but it sounds like we might find, he gonna be lucky if he's alive when they find him. Because if anybody see this man on the street, I'm gonna tell you right now, I won't be upset if you lash out a little bit. This man took the lives of his 3 little girls. I can only imagine the last moments of these children's lives when they were in the care of somebody who they thought cared about them, and they had to go through that. This man deserves the worst punishment ever for anybody, even worse than the pedos. Worse than the pedos. You understand what I'm saying? He deserves, I can't even say it on YouTube. They'll say I'm promoting violence. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Anything you can imagine that you would do to a person that did that, he deserves that. Twice. On a Sunday. So here's Decker. If you see him,
tattoos.
Turn his ass
Decker
in.
is
Now, you know what? Did they say money? They might have to put some money on his head. Put some money on his head.
5'8" and about 190 pounds. Decker is now wanted for 3 counts of first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping. Authorities do not know if he is armed, but they are saying he may pose a significant risk if approached. Again, that possible sighting of him in McCall was today around 2:30. McCall police say if you believe you've seen Decker, contact dispatch at 208-382-5160. Now, we have called Idaho State Police and Ada, Boise Valley, New Meadows, and Gem County. They all say they do not have major concerns yet that he is here in Idaho. And the Wenatchee Police Department was not aware of the sighting in McCall when I just talked with them. They say they have no reason to believe he has left the Wenatchee area, but they will, quote, not rest until he is found.
Yeah, developing situation here. Now, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office is holding a news conference tonight at 7 o'clock our time to provide details on the search.
Okay, well, y'all got that story. That's the first one. That's the first one. He definitely is, like they said, he's still in the area. He's probably out in the woods. Surviving out in the woods, eating raccoons and shit. I will say this. Whatever police department is working that case, I hope y'all find his ass before somebody else does. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell you right now, I've had enough of these ain't shit parents out here. Some parents are just killing their child's minds. And other parents are literally taking their children's lives. And a lot of times CPS be notified that there's a problem, but they don't want to do anything about it. It's like they're supposed to have a duty to do something about it, but they don't want to do anything about it. And that's what brings me to our next story. In Florida, surprise, surprise, a Florida mother attempted to perform an exorcism on their child and unalive their child in an exorcism. Here's the story. Check it out. Y'all just, people don't believe me when I say this world is messed up. This is a perfect example of how messed up it is.
Now to a shocking story from Fort Pierce, a mother facing charges for allegedly killing her 6-year-old son.
Authorities believe the child may have died during an exorcism. This is Local 10's Janice Fernandez, who has a story for us right now in the newsroom with the details here. Janice.
Eric, Alex, this is such a tragic story. It's a bizarre story, and deputies say the boy had been dead for several days before anyone was notified, and now his mother is behind bars.
From what I understand, this kid just lit the room up and was just loved by everybody. And so they're all going to be having a very difficult time getting through this.
We're learning new details after a 6-year-old boy who hadn't been seen in school for more than 2 weeks was found lifeless in his bedroom. A tragic discovery that has shaken this community. And now his 31-year-old mother, identified as Rhonda Palanice, remains behind bars this morning after being denied bond Saturday on a second-degree murder charge.
She had a lot of highs and lows during the investigation, from laughing at different times at the scene to crying.
It was around 10 a.m. Friday when a deputy showed up to the home on Bedford Drive after the school reported his more than 2-week absence. That deputy came face to face with the mom before she personally took them to her son's bedroom.
What we did learn in speaking with the mother, she believed she was being told by God to basically exorcise demons out of the child's body.
The woman was being told by God to exorcise demons out of this child. How much y'all want to bet that there's a severe mental health issue involved and probably some drugs and or alcohol? A sane person does not do all of this and unalive their child and then leave the baby there for days until somebody comes by and says, hey, your kid hasn't been in school for 2 weeks. What's up? Just one more time, let's bring it back. Let the little sheriff tell his little story. In case you didn't hear it, this is what the situation is, okay? What it is.
By God to basically exorcise demons out of the child's body. And when the child had stopped moving and basically passed away, at that point she felt the child had been released of those demons and was waiting for him to basically come back.
The boy, Ramel Pierre, attended Samuel Gaines Academy in Fort Pierce, an elementary school 5 miles away from home. Visibly shaken neighbors and relatives say it should have never come to this.
I'm devastated. I'm sick to my stomach.
I just can't believe this even is real. Like, I'm waiting to hear what really happened.
Palanice also faces charges for failure to report a death and altering the deceased body, pointing to evidence that shows she was preserving his body. She also posted these photos of her son on her public Facebook page.
Our detectives learned that the mother last spoke to the child on May 18th. That's when we believed the homicide occurred.
May 8th, man, that was weeks ago. Oh my God.
And that she was responsible for the child's death.
Yeah, it's such a disturbing story. And that mother, by the way, has since been charged with second-degree murder. She did appear in court over the weekend via Zoom from jail, where a judge did deny her bail. But again, this is just such a tragedy.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Guys, are y'all hearing this? Now, if you didn't check, there were some visuals here that I wanted you to also check out. They mentioned this right here. This was apparently the house. They don't board up the houses like that just because there's a crime scene in there. That means that this was probably the house that this person was living in with this child. Boarded up, no light. This woman was probably crazy. And I asked the question that I know a lot of you are asking. Where was the father of this child? Why was it the school noticing that the child wasn't in school, which was the first time anybody was asking questions? Where's the family of this child? I guarantee this was not the first time. Why would you think that the child got demons in him? She must have been smoking PCP or something. And then you unalive your child, and you feel like the unaliving was the releasing of demons? This woman might get off for temporary insanity because the story itself is just insane. That is absolutely insane. But what's so insane to me is it took the school 2 weeks before they noticed the kid wasn't there, and they sent somebody to go check. They sent the police to do a wellness check, and that's how they found out that this was going on or had happened. Meaning nobody else, not in the neighborhood, nobody saw nothing weird about this boarded up ass house or the fact that they hadn't seen that kid in weeks. No father came looking for their child for a scheduled visitation. No grandmother, no aunt, no nobody, no friends came looking for this child. It's so sad, man. It's so sad because we're leaving these kids out here. And I'm not going to say it's single mothers specifically. We're going to say shitty parents. They come in all shapes, sizes, and sexes. And we leave them out here with these shitty parents. We know that they're shitty parents. And then all of a sudden, these shitty parents do something shitty, and we want to act surprised. If you're keeping your kid in the house that's boarded up like this, you're probably not the best parent. I'm just guessing. I'm wondering why CPS wasn't there for that reason. Checking to make sure this kid was fed correctly. Then all of a sudden, the kid doesn't show up in school, and nobody cared for 2 weeks, man. I'm sick of y'all with this shit. I'm serious. We got all this planned outrage for all this other shit. Ain't nobody protecting the babies, man. Ain't nobody really protecting the babies. We had a story just before this, and this is all within the last 48 hours or so that these stories have come out, of parents unaliving their children, either through some goofy accident like this exorcism thing, or they purposely zip tie them up and put a bag over their heads. How sick are y'all? And both of these people are alive. Well, at least they think the one guy is alive, running around in the woods. But the mother of this child is still alive. And meanwhile, the child's not here. We don't know what that child could have grown up to be had we maybe freed this child from that environment. And we know it's a bad environment. You can see it. Look at the boarded up house. What do you think goes on in there? You think it's all like peaches and freaking roses behind them boards? No. It's something they don't want you to see. And I hate to say it, but sometimes you need a nosy ass Karen around to like crack the door open a little bit. Excuse me. You know, that kind of shit. We hate them Karens, but them nosy ass Karens be the ones that figure out something ain't right. I don't like what's going on over there. They're being too damn nosy, but they uncover some nefarious shit. So that is the first side of what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to show you, which is how we're not doing these kids correctly because we're leaving them in shitty situations with shitty parents, and we know the parents are shitty. We can see it. We might even express it, but we can't do nothing about it. There's no system that is specifically based on the possibility that something can go wrong. All of the systems that have to deal with the kids, you have to already do some shit. So they don't say, hey, this looks like a trap house. Maybe we shouldn't have the kid there. No, they want to wait until the mother tries to sell the child for drugs. Then it's like, oh, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have the kid there. You see what I'm saying? That is how they do this. But on the flip side of this same argument, I want to be honest. Shitty parents deserve the book thrown at them. They do. Especially when they're harming their child. There's some parents that are just mentally abusive to their kids. But then there's this other level of parents that become physically abusive. And then there's the third level, which is they become fatally abusive to their children. They starve them. They do just nefarious shit to their own children. So if somebody will do that to their own child, imagine what they'll do to the rest of the world. They have no purpose or meaning to be here. If you will do that to your own child, I don't want you in society at all. I don't want that woman to ever come back out of jail. Because if she thinks she's exorcising anybody, just like my man Al Bond put in the chat earlier, can't do an exorcism without a priest. And I'm guaranteeing that a person that lives in a house that looks like this is not a priest. So she didn't even have the right rules. to do what she was trying to do. I'm telling you, I got 3 letters for you. PCP. That want to make you think some crazy shit like that. And I'm sorry for the language, but I am so frustrated with watching these news stories about parents being the most dangerous thing to their own children. It used to be the outside world was the most dangerous thing to your kid. You know, the kids at school. No. Turns out the parents are the most dangerous thing to their own children. Freaking ridiculous. I'm tired of these folks. I am so tired of these people. I don't know who raised them. I don't know what's going on in their minds. I don't know what drug they're really taking, but I'm tired of them. Deport these mother people. Let's do that. Let's get ICE together to get these shitty parents out of here that are unaliving their children, neglecting them, putting them in horrible positions and situations, and their children are still innocent. That little boy was what, 4, 6 years old. What could he have done to have her thinking he had demons? What, was he running around the house too much? Cried too much? Wet the bed? What are we talking about at 6 years old? They should have to vet the people that have kids. But sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes people don't go crazy right away. Like, they don't lose it right away with the kid. It happens, you know, a couple years later, start noticing some changes in behavior. So it'll be hard to truly vet somebody to know whether or not they can be a good parent. But we could try. We could at least give the person a score, right? If you're about to become a parent, you go into the, the neonatal type of stuff. You're going through your appointments, right? They should have a test and make them take some type of a vetting exam and then just tell them, look, this is the results of your vetting exam. It looks like you're going to be a shitty parent, so maybe you should go back to school or whatever. Like, they make suggestions on how you could be a better parent before you even become one because of the test that they put out. I think that would be a nice idea. But people wouldn't want to hear shit is wrong with them. Nobody ever wants to hear anything is wrong with them. So even if something is wrong with them and they know it's wrong with them, you better not tell them that, because now you're being mean. So, okay. Let me bring up the other side of the topic today, which is the children of men and monsters and how we have not protected the children. I'm not even going to get into the freaking crazy stuff that goes on at the schools with the now sexualization of topics like using drag queens. That shit is crazy to me. All of it. Leave the damn babies alone. They already got enough to deal with. They got to worry about their parents trying to exorcise demons out of them, taking their lives. They got to worry about going with their dad for a weekend visitation that they never make it back from because he decided to dump them in a ravine. Ugh. All right, hold on a second here. But I want to bring up this other piece here. Here we go. Since we're in Florida, right? Bear with me a second here. Oh, that's too long. Shorter one. All right, sorry for the delay there. I didn't have this one lined up like I wanted. But the point is going to be made. Check this out. So recently, like I said, I hate to say this is in Florida, but it is in Florida. For some reason, a lot of craziness goes on in Florida. Maybe it's the sunshine, too much vitamin E on the brain. I don't know. But it seems like a lot of these crazy ass stories are now showing up in Florida. Like regular homicides are in the city areas up north, New York, Baltimore, Philly. These crazy stories seem to be Florida. But Florida is making a crackdown on basically charging people as adults, first and foremost, teenagers as adults, and charging drug dealers with murder charges if their patients overdose. Yeah, check that one out, right? Imagine they do that. Now you can go to jail for murder if you sell something to somebody and they OD. It is designed to deal with the fentanyl issue, but as you can imagine, there are other drugs you can overdose off of, and now they're talking about kids or minors, let's say minors, that are caught selling drugs that resulted in an overdose will be charged as adults for murder. Check the story out.
We gotta do better for our community and our children. I don't want to see another mother ever go through what I went through.
Just heartbreaking right there. Her son died of an overdose. Now a new Florida law bears his name. Just hours ago, Hillsborough Sheriff praising the measure for stronger penalties for juveniles dealing deadly drugs. 10 Tampa Bay's Eric Glasser explains how we got here.
Well, 17-year-old Devin Ramos died of a fentanyl overdose a year ago this week. But the individual who supplied that pill, laced with that fentanyl, was under 18 at the time, and as a minor, could not be prosecuted for Devin's death.
There isn't a day that goes by that I do not think about him and miss him tremendously.
Through tears, Amy Umdea thanked Sheriff Chad Chronister and state lawmakers for passing SB 612, the new law named for her son.
I am at peace now that my son's death is not in vain. And because of this new law, other families will get justice now.
A year ago, Devin and a friend were sold pills that, unknown to them, had been laced with fentanyl. But because the teen who supplied the deadly dose was a minor, he couldn't be prosecuted as an adult.
That is not the case anymore. We can now charge a juvenile with third-degree murder if they deal drugs that cause a death, just like in Devin's case.
I joined Devin's mother and grandmother at the funeral. And as a father and the sheriff, I felt absolutely helpless.
Which is why Sheriff Chronister says he worked with state lawmakers who quickly got the bill passed this legislative session. It takes effect July 1st.
We got to do better for our community and our children. I don't want to see another mother ever go through what I went through.
Had this law been in place last year, it's hard to say whether it might have saved Devin's life. But the sheriff, prosecutors, and Devin's family all believe it will help save others. In Tampa, Eric Glasser, 10 Tampa Bay.
And Sheriff Chronister says if a juvenile used a weapon to kill someone, there would be adult charges. So he says the same logic should apply to those who knowingly sell deadly drugs.
We got to do better.
That is an interesting, I don't know. So guys, how do you feel about that? So juveniles who sell drugs that result in an overdose will now be subject to adult criminal murder charges. That's actually, you know what? That's pretty damn serious. And I'll tell you why. Because unfortunately, and even in Florida, a lot of the minorities that sell drugs are black. Okay? Let's just be real. They're black and or brown. My real question is, when are we going to crack down on minors even having the shit? Here, let me be real. Okay? Let me be real. If a minor has fentanyl, OxyContin, or oxycodones, or whatever they are, you know, oxys, mollies, all these pills and shit like that, where are they getting it from? Somebody who's not a minor. Somewhere in that chain, there's an adult. And that is really who the problem is. I'm not saying these kids should not be prosecuted. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is if you want to stop the real problem, you got to stop them from even having the shit in the first place. They say it's about the border and all of that, but they make prescription drugs here. That's why they can change the prices. So they want us looking at Canada and Mexico as the fentanyl providers, but we got the same labs and science here. And the same nefarious thinking people in those labs. Meth labs get raided all the time in the U.S. You do not have to go outside of the United States to get any of these drugs. None of it. Marijuana is legal in 30 states at this point, so you can find that domestically. You can get it on the internet now. So you can miss me with the whole, our problem is not domestic. It's a domestic problem. Our drug issue is a domestic problem. It is not Cuba's fucking problem. Excuse my language. It's not Cuba's problem. They found a market, Venezuela, whoever's pushing stuff up through the border, they found a market, and then it moves around here. But these kids who are selling fatal drugs are not negotiating with the cartels. They're getting their stuff from an adult. And the adults who are furnishing this and basically allowing children to go out there and kill other people, they should be also prosecuted to the highest level of the law. Because the teenagers are out of line. And then you got parents out of line. So the whole system's out of line. The whole society at this point is out of line. The teenagers are running the adults. Like they don't have no respect for their elders and all that kind of stuff like we had back in the day. Most kids, a lot of kids, don't even respect their own parents. Like their own mother and father, they don't even respect them. So how are they going to respect anybody else in the world? And we allowed it to be like this by not putting the emphasis where it should have been, which was on education. And it's because a lot of the parents these days were young parents, and they were still growing up when their kids were growing up, and they're still trying to be on the damn internet just like the kids trying to be on the internet twerking and all that kind of goofy stuff. Or you have somebody that doesn't make a lot, so they got to work 2-3 jobs, never home, never really there to raise their kid because they're trying to provide for them financially. You get that too. So it's not always a person's doing bad things as the reason why they're not there for their kid. Sometimes it's these other factors that come. But at some point, we got to be real about this. These kids are messed up because we messed up. And I don't mean we are messed up. I mean, we messed up. Like we did something incorrectly. And in order to get back to some level of normalcy, we're going to have some real conversations about where the shit went wrong. But part of the problem is, just like in our first two stories, you've got parents also unaliving their children. It's absolutely nuts to me. And I know anybody trying to hear this shit, you want to hear me talk about DDG and Halle Bailey and that craziness going on, or Diddy's trial, or any of that goofy stuff. No, I'm talking about the next generation who's coming up is unprotected, and they're going to be missing a lot of resources that we had, that we may not have utilized, but they're going to be missing all of that. The defunding of different educational departments, the funding will come from private institutions and will go to private institutions. So if your kid is in a public school, they're going to get shafted if they're not one of the performing kids, the kids that's doing well. School to prison pipeline has never been more available and open. So we're killing them by sending them to jail. They're killing them by strangulation. They're killing them by neglecting them. We are just literally doing this to our own children. And then meanwhile, the population is shrinking. So it's because our kids aren't even making it far enough to have kids. They're unaliving each other, or they get themselves into lifestyles that don't allow them to be fruitful, like they're with the person of the same sex. You know what I'm saying? So our kids are definitely screwed right now. They're screwed. The generations right now are kind of screwed. But all is not lost if we are at least in agreement that it didn't have to be like this and it doesn't have to stay like this. But you're right, Al. The next decade, I already have a headache. When the kids who are, let's say 16 or so now, 15, 16 now, they'll be in their mid-20s and realizing that everything's been taken over by AI that they didn't learn when they were in freaking high school because it wasn't part of the curriculum. It'll be part of the curriculum then, but we'll be coming from behind. It needs to be part of the curriculum now. You know what jobs you're creating, government. So why not change the educational curriculum since you want people working? Change the educational curriculum to where the jobs will be, not what they are. Nobody needs to learn to be a coal miner right now, but they do need to know Python language. And these kids overseas are learning Python language, coding language in elementary school as part of their math class. It's a core class for them, but not a core class for us. And we are the main consumers of the shit that they are programming. We're killing our kids by knowledge not being given to them. We're killing our kids by not putting them in the right position to be successful. And then in some cases, they're just literally killing their own children. And you could take that to the whole abortion thing. The numbers on that, we're killing our kids there. Society is now dedicated to population reduction. The kids that don't belong, we want them gone. Put them in jail. Let them unalive each other. Let them be part of gang culture. Let's exalt black kids, killing black kids. Let's keep that going. That seems to be working well. And that's what they're doing. They're killing our kids, man. They're killing our kids. But I will say this. I'll give props to Florida. And I'll tell you why. Florida has recently really been trying to make some. That's why they took all that shit out of the books and the schools and all that. They were really trying to save the kids from mental confusion early in their lives. It was a good idea. Maybe it was implemented incorrectly, but I see what they were trying to do. And they're using this as, you know, a deterrent for young people to not deal drugs. That's what this is supposed to be for. A deterrent to keep young people from dealing drugs. If you think you can go to jail for, 15, 20 years over murder for an overdose, that might keep you from selling drugs. I get it. That's an interesting concept. I might not have thought the same, but I see where they're coming from on that. We'll see how it works out. But what hasn't changed is what's feeding those young people. How many young folks would have to go down for murder charges before it would take effect on the others who are already out there getting their money through? Personally, I think it would take a while. I don't think one kid getting charged as an adult would deter anything. I think it would take a whole bunch of it. And that's what's going to happen. So now they're charging our kids as adults. They're killing them by putting them in jail. They keep our kids from the knowledge of what's coming as far as jobs and technology. So they're killing us by knowledge. And the Bible says, my people die for lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. Why do we not know where these kids are getting these drugs from? Why do we not know? You can catch the kid. You can't catch the adult that's moving all that fentanyl. That's bullshit. You know exactly who's dealing it. Most of the time, it comes back to the government somehow. CIA and FBI be planting stuff in areas and then just let it spread. This is the world we live in. But they know if they attack the next generation and control that generation through drug culture, gang culture, and criminal history, they can do with us as they please when that time comes. If all the kids are drugged out and, already have some little minor dumbass charge on them, they won't even be able to work anywhere. So they'll become a permanent underclass. Killing them financially. So as you can see, we're killing them in a bunch of different ways. We're killing them in a bunch of different ways. And I'm here to bring life. I'm here to bring life. I've seen way too much killing. I've seen too many kids go through things they don't even need to go through. They're children. Leave them out of it. Let them be children. Let them grow up. We try to adult our children so much that now they got to be charged as adults in crimes. Give your kids a chance to freaking grow up. Give these kids a chance to have real role models before we just sign them away into this lifestyle and say, okay, you're an adult now. We're going to lock you up for 15 to 20 years over selling drugs that we put on the street. We put the drugs on the street. You got the bag with the drugs. You sold the drugs. You go to jail. Not me, the one that put it on the street in the first place. Freaking ridiculous. I'm just so disappointed with what happened Generation X on. Generation X had the opportunity to be the most powerful generation because we had the analog upbringing and the digital adulthood. Nobody, like my kids, people my kids' age, they might be good at a particular app, like let's say CapCut or something. They're good at making a video on CapCut. I can learn to do a video on CapCut, and I'm not going to have the issues that my parents would have learning to do. I know the same technology. You know why? Because I was born at the same time the internet and all that was being born. So I grew up with technology. These kids now are just, they pop out and they got a tablet before they're 1. They got a cell phone by the time they're 6. When I was coming up, in generation around Generation X, we didn't have all that at first. The car phone was just coming out. People were using pagers. Payphones still existed everywhere. Use a quarter to call somebody. Then as things changed, we changed with it. So that's why I'm able to sit here and broadcast to 5 or 6 different forums, but ask my son how to do the same thing. He might have a problem, but he can game all day. You understand what I'm saying? So my understanding of the technology is actually far more advanced than the current day generation who's just learning it for the entertainment purpose of it. They're being bought into it. That's why everybody wants to be an influencer. They're pulled into it that way. We can use it for whatever. I'm not afraid of AI. I'm afraid of the fact that AI is under the wrong control, and I don't have any control over it. That's my fear. And if we don't train these kids up correctly, they're not going to be able to identify with the AI. That AI is going to tell them to do some dumb shit. Like the one kid that we heard about last week, whose AI got him to self-unalive. AI is not the enemy. Lack of knowledge is. Lack of good parenting is. Lack of good school systems and good education is. Lack of transparency in education. I spoke with somebody very dear to me recently who said, you know what? The school system is just different now. The school used to care about parents that cared. Like if a parent was calling up there asking for, the school would want nothing more than to interact with that parent. Nowadays, school don't even want to talk to the parents. They send an email or whatever. That's the communication you get. You try calling. Now they don't even have phone numbers no more. Best way to get in touch with me is to email me. No, I want to talk to you on the phone. So by removing the parent from that active participation in education, you're killing these kids' education. Then every time a parent comes up there and tries to say, hey, I don't want my kid learning this, this, and that, you want to give them back talk. The educational system is the root. But before you get to the educational system, you have the family. So these are different levels of where the debauchery has taken place and destroyed it. But I'm telling you, Generation X was the generation that had it all. I understand everything on my tech side, and I understand all the old school stuff too. You can still sit me in front of a reel-to-reel 4-track player, VHS, beta, whatever. Anything that was invented then all the way through now, and I know how to use it. Go sit a VHS player in front of anybody else. Ask them to program a damn VHS player to record something from a cable port on a particular channel. This is the kind of shit we had to learn how to do. I had to do this for my parents when I was a kid because they weren't in tune with the technology that they had. So I'm telling you right now, guys, if we don't tune the hell in, we're about to have a generation of zombies that are stuck on every pill you've ever heard of and don't even understand goal setting and achieving milestones. They'll just be walking through life wondering why they don't have anything and won't have the motivation to go and get anything. But before we even have that conversation, we got to stop unaliving our kids ourselves as parents. We got to stop unaliving our children. And y'all have heard my spiel. There was at least 5 different ways that I mentioned that you can kill your children. Not all as heinous as the 2 clips that we started with her. But the end result is still the same. So nonetheless, I got to get out of here. I know it's been an interesting episode. Like I said, they don't like it when I get all serious. You saw what happened. They cut the stream early. booted everybody off and made us all come back. So I'm used to it now. But it lets me know that I'm on the right track, because these are the conversations that people need to have that they're not really having. We have a responsibility to each other because we all live here. So when your kids are acting up and your kids are non-productive and your kids are on that bullshit, it affects everybody else. You have a responsibility to your family, just like I have a responsibility to mine. And everybody has a responsibility. If you keep putting out bullshit, we're going to get bullshit results. And we are killing our kids by not stepping up when we see something's wrong. We got to step up. When you see the school ain't doing what the school need to do, step up. Step up. I'm going to be dealing, I got a school I got to deal with now. Before I'm done, we're going to be in court. And I hope one of them catches my live, because I'm not playing with y'all. If I call, you call me back. Simple as that. All right? So anyway, I'm going to give my shouts real quick, and I'm going to get up out of here. Special shout to Al Bond in the chat. That's my guy right there, Sergeant at Arms of the Mod Squad here at the Purge Collective. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you do. Make sure you hit the like button for the algorithm so that they know we're here. We get throttled all the time over here, but we keep coming back, and there's no stopping this movement. It's a movement of knowledge and community. We start to work together a little bit better. I guarantee the movement will never be stopped, okay? So, special shouts, once again, like I said, to my man Al Bond in the chat. That gong is for you. Sebastian stopping in. We had IAMZ, of course, stopping in. That's my baby. And Jack 263 had stopped in. Donald J. Plunk kind of trolled through for a hot second. Missed you over there. I like having the trollage. Stop in. We don't get a lot of trolls over here anymore. I might have to open the chat all the way up. It's a subscribers only chat, so that kind of keeps the trolls to a minimum. But I'm thinking I might go public, let it just be public. But now that I know my mods are ready, I think the next episode, start with Saturday's episode, we're going to go public chat. We'll see how it goes. But until then, I want you guys to go ahead and dedicate yourself to making a change today that you forgot to make yesterday. Make yourself better for tomorrow. And with that, I'm out of here, because that, my friends, bullshit. Deuces.